Hello guys, welcome to another edition of the Python Blue Tech Empire Python tutorials. And on this video, we are going to be looking at examples. We're going to be coding together, so you actually see how coding is done. When we code together, you'll be able to learn one or two things. Maybe see how we make mistakes and how we correct them. Because I write these codes as I'm teaching. I haven't pre-written most of these codes. I just write the titles down and I try to code while I'm with you guys. We are going to look at four different programs: character replacer, character remover, email address separator, even or odd number, that's even an odd number separator. So you're going to know more details about these programs as we proceed. So let's dive into the video and get our hands dirty. All right. So as you can see, we're going to use Visual Studio Code. If you haven't downloaded it, or if you like Visual Studio Code and haven't downloaded it, you can watch our video on installing Visual Studio Code. I'm going to show you. The video should appear at the top right hand side. And if you have any other ID you use, you can use that. No restrictions. If you like to use Eclipse ID, we also have a video on Eclipse. If you even like to use Anaconda, we have a video like Python Jupyter Notebook, which is also good. We have a video on Jupyter Notebook. So I'm going to be using in this edition, let me see, should I use Jupyter? Well, I'll be using Visual Studio Code so I can create files and sure you can see all the IntelliSense and everything. Visual Studio Code is very good for coding, especially in Python, very good IntelliSense. So let's pop up our Visual Studio Code and let's get started. Let's create a new file. The first program is character replacer. So we're gonna save this file, save as character replacer. I'm going to save it on my desktop so I can always find it. So you're gonna say character replacer. You can end it with .py, character replacer .py. Very good. If you don't want any with .py, you can allow Python to do that for you by selecting the type. You can allow Visual Studio to do that for you by selecting the type and going to Python. All right. So Visual Studio selects the type for you. Now, if you want to all right, so we're good to go. Save, or let me see. Save. All right. All right, that's it. So we start normally with the comments. Comment helps us to know what our code is doing. So we say this program finds um, the index of characters in a string of a particular character in a string and replaces it with a specified character. So we're going to use a test string first. For example, we have our test string. Here is how you write a program. Normally, we're going to end this program with a function that is going to ask the user for a character, and then later on going to ask the user for the replacing string. You understand? That's the old string and the new string. So I'm going to show you what all that means, so you're going to understand how the user, which string do you want to replace, which character do you want to replace. It's going to ask which character do you want to replace and what character would you like to replace the character with. So you're going to see how this function. But to start, we're going to start with using an example. So I have a piece of string here. It's called my quotes. Here is our test string. It's a quote. I just want us to get started. And we can't use single quotes like we thought. If you haven't watched the video on quotations, you can watch it. You can watch it if you want to know how to use triple quotes. Explain that on character and quotations. If you can watch our video on strings or on I think introduction to Python 2, one of the two. But I'm going to leave if you click at the top right, I'm going to leave the video for like strings so you can look at that and have an idea on what I'm saying. So now we have three strings, so we can put our text in between them and we're good to go, like here. All right, we're good to go. Now we have a string, and now here is our string. Let's say quotes equal to, there is our piece of string. Now we're good to go. I think we're good to go. We're good to go. All right. Remember, it's embedded. We can even print it out if you want to see it. Print. Sorry. Print quotes. So let's see it's whether our program runs very well. Yeah, so we print codes and here we have codes printed out successfully. So now let's go back to our code. All right, so now what we want to do is to go through the string and find the indexes because we want to replace this. We also learned lists and strings. So this example, we are going to be making use of our knowledge on list and string. If you haven't watched the video on list and strings, I will advise you to start with the video on string and you can now watch the video on list part 1 and part 2. So I'm going to leave the video on string at the top left or I'm going to leave the video on list so you can watch any of them. So I just wanted to I may leave the video of list on the description. So, and in fact, all the videos of list part 1, part 2, and all the rest. So you're gonna watch that. So let's continue. So now we need to first find the indexes to replace those characters. We need to first find the indexes of the characters. We need to find the indexes. So let's say we want to replace an A. We want to replace all for some dumb reason. We want to replace all I small letter lowercase I with uppercase. So we're gonna say old car equals to I, and we're gonna say new car equals to I. Let's start with that. So let's find out what are we going to do again. Now we have our old car. We want now we are doing when you're writing a code initially, you always want to use this a test case because in the original script the user is going to enter this stuff. But for now, we are going to enter the stuff, and later on the user is going to enter the stuff. So let's now find that because now let's write it. So what we need to do is we need to go through the strings and get the indices of these of these of the string. So we are going to use a process. There are two processes you can find, but the processes are quite complicated, but we are going to use one process. One process is to go through the string and collect all the indexes of I and store it in a list. And later we go through that list and get to each of those indexes and replace the characters in the string. So let's follow that. Let's go right there. So now we say our list in this indices equal to an empty list. It's going to have all the indexes of the lowercase I. Now we're going to say for car ch we're going through the list. We say we can put the comments here, iterating via the list. So sorry. So either in quotes we can say what next, like we say if ch equals to old car what do? We append it to the list. We learned all this in we learned the append method, append to indices dot append like ch. All right, now let's check. We should be done here with the first part. Let's print indices and check if it has everything we're looking for. Indices. All right, so let's now run this. Oh, it has it. Now instead what we did was we just saved I. So what we want to actually do um is to save the indices rather than the i's. We need the indices. So what we're going to do, we need to track the indices by having count number equals to 0. We know we're starting from 0. So every iteration, at the end of every iteration, we are going to increment count by 1, count plus equals to 1, so that when we go through, we know by the time we are here, we are in the 0. As we go in again, we are indices 1, we're going again into indices 2. So we can just append count here, and those are going to be the indices. So let's check our program now to see whether because, oh yeah, we have 56 and 491. So these are all the positions within the string where we have I. Now our problem is to replace it. We know strings are immutable, which means we can't just go into the string and begin to say, for example, if this was a list, we're just going to say for um, we're going to say normally we're going to start again, count equals to 0, and then we're going to say for ch in in quotes. We're supposed to iterate through quotes and say if ch equals to, or if this count, if this index is in list, our indices. So we want to say if we're going through the list, we want to check if it's going to go from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, but we want to check if this indices is in the list. It means at this particular index we have an I. So we will have said quotes I, or quotes count should be equals to new character, new car. In this case, we would have changed everything within the string, but strings are immutable. We're supposed to do this ch plus plus count plus equals to 1, count plus equal to 1. Now, what are we going to do? Is immutable. What are we going to do? Now, there are many ways you can come up with, but the way I think we should do right here now, so let's think a little. Let's say, since are we going to copy, and if we see, are we going to copy to that index, append an I, and then copy to the end? Let's think about that. Let's think about that. Or what can we do? Or should we? I think that's just the best. We can't do any other thing. We just need to copy. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna copy from. We're gonna replace quotes like this, quotes, or let's say let's have something called new quotes, new quotes. Yeah. New quotes. In this case, new quotes will be empty. New quotes, new quotes equals to an empty string. Now we can say, sorry, let's put new quotes here so it doesn't interfere with our for loop. Let's put new quotes here. All right, so we can say in this part, instead of this, we can say, oh, we can say new quotes plus equal to, it means we are appending to new quotes. In this case, it's empty. We are going to take let's see, or let's just replace new quotes with everything we want. So it's always going to be replacing it here. It's memory. This one code is not very memory efficient, but it is the easiest solution to this problem. So let's just say new quotes equal to, so we'll always be replacing new quotes with, we're just gonna take from quotes to, we're gonna start from indices 0 right up to where we found the current indices, because we say if counting indices contain indexes that has lowercase I. So we're gonna pick out strings from that up to the count. Yeah, the index will not, so it's not going to how do you call this, it's not going to extract the I. For example, if say this is the first index here, let's say it's at position 50. If we say 050, it's going to start from 0 right up to 49, because it doesn't always, the slice operator doesn't always include the last item. So if this first one was 59, if the first time we have this is at 59, it's going to pick out till 49. Then now we're going to append now our capital I. In this case, we are trying to replace this I. So we have replaced it because remember we sliced till we sliced from here. We are assuming this is the first. I know the first is up, but let's just assume this is the first. We slide from 0 to, coding takes a lot of time, from 0 till here. And now we want to append this, and then we're gonna slice now from this till the end of the string. So you see we append that, and now we slice from count. Count is, we can't slice from count because count is I, is this lowercase I. So we're gonna slice from count plus 1 through the end. So we're gonna say now quote quote new quote, sorry, new quote equals to quotes. Or instead of using quotes, maybe we'll just replace quotes. In fact, let's say new quote equals to quote. So we know, we just want to keep the old version, so we don't replace the old version. So let's just make our copy. New quote equals to quotes. Let's just make our copy. Or let's say quotes. Let's just copy like this. Yes. So quote, it should extract from the beginning to the end of quotes. So we're gone. We're good to go. So let's say plus quotes, new quotes equals to, let's say new quotes plus new quotes. So now we're going to say count plus 1, count plus 1, and comma, I mean not comma, to the end. I think very good. So I think at this point we are good to go. Should be good to go. Should be good to go. All right. So let us print the new string, new quotes. Let's see whether we got it correct. All right. So you see, this was the old string, and this is our new string. As you can see, every I has been replaced with big lower uppercase I, uppercase I, uppercase I, uppercase I, uppercase I. So we did it. So we can clap for ourselves. We had it good. So let's now go to the actual program. Remember, this was a test program. So now let's fix the actual program by asking the user for this information. So the user is going to enter some information. We're going to save it in quotes. So we're going to say um, quotes. Let's write on top this quotes equals to input, say enter original string or text. We're going to save it in quotes. Next, we're going to tell the user old car equals to input, enter character you will like to replace. And look what we did. We are going to take only the first, so that if the user enters multiple characters like hello, we're just going to take age, yeah, the first one. So we're going to say input, we're first going to say input this, and after input we collect the input. We are going to take the first index, so that whatever the user enters, we only take the first character. So we see now second new character is new car equals to enter replacing character, enter, or we can say enter character to replace. We can use single quote now here to replace old car uh, old car with. So you're gonna see how this will be out. So enter character to replace whatever the user entered old car. We are putting it within single quotes. So old car width. So it's going to enter it. And now we're going to do the job. So we're just going to remove this part because we have now taken it from the user. So let's see if it works. Let's see if it works. Perfect. Now let's see if it works. I just wanted to show you guys how you write programs. Okay, so let's say for example the user just enters something like, let's look for where we have plenty eyes or many eyes. All right, this is one of them. Rolling. All right, here is one of them. Let's cut from here. Let's see. Let's take from here. I'm just looking for some random text to enter. I don't want to guess it. The Let's say the rolling free. Yes, so let's say rolling free. All right, so this is my text, and I want to convert all E to uppercase. Enter character you would like to replace. Yeah, I was supposed to use I was supposed to put something like this here, so it will look more representable here. So let me enter the character I want to replace. In fact, I'm going to start over this program so that we will see it clearly. Right, so let's run this. So in fact, let's use this. Let's swipe this and let's run this again so you see clearly. All right, so I have my character and I want to replace all eyes with capital E. So you see, it said, just take my hand, lead dance with me, and I will, let's see, I with capital E. It looks like there's an error in the program, did not work properly. I think there's an error. Let's check. All right. Oh, we had to use yeah, we just use I, so we had to use car, new car. So that was the error. I think it's okay now. Yeah. New what? I said new car. All right, it worked now perfectly well. So let's copy our stuff. Just take my hands and rolling free, and we want to, yeah. All right, you want to enter character you like to replace with. We want to replace um you like to replace enter character you like to replace. Why is this still showing like this? Enter character you like to replace. It should be here correctly. And all right, so okay, so the CLS. All right, let me run it now. Enter original text, just take my hand free and rolling free, and then enter character you would like to replace. I want to replace all eyes with capital letter E. So you see now all eyes are now capital letter E, 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 and E, and that's it. All eyes have been replaced with capital letter E. I can run the program and replace all E's with capital letter I like this, and paste my text. I can say I want to replace all E's with capital letter, let's say capital letter E. So you see all lowercase e, for some strange reason, we have replaced them with capital letter I, with capital letter E, 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 and all that stuff. So our program works correctly. We're going to close this. We're going to close this program. So I just showed you what we did. You see what we did, something simple. We just had this program find the index of a particular character in a string, in a string and replaces the character. We take the quote from the user, we take old character, new character, we copy the old quotes. You see what we did? We used the slash operator, copied it, then we said indices equals to list. We went through the list from zero. We saved all the indices starting from count zero. If ch, if the character at this point is old car, we know that we are currently at the count we are on is like the index, and we are tracking it throughout the iterations. So every iterations, we know where we can locate the index by taking the value of count. We can still use a different method to do this, but this is the method we use. So every time we see a valid index that had old character, we saved, we appended that indices to that index to our indices list. Then later on, we went through our indices list and we found, if we found if we reach an index that is found in indices, that's within, we are going through quotes, that's the character, the quotes or whatever the user entered, it should be user input. Whenever we find a valid indices, that's an index present in this list, we'll copy our old, we'll create a new a new quote or a new string, you understand? And what we did is we'll pick from the beginning up to the point of the index. We'll add the new character and pick one place ahead. So for example, if you are looking for character C, in this case, just look at this, we'll pick from 0 right up to here, append the new character, then we'll continue from here. That's why we said, that's why we use count plus one. We are continuing from here right up till the end. So you don't worry if you don't understand. If you go through the stuff on strings and what we our older lessons, you're going to understand this program. So we're going to move to the next program, which is character remover. So we are trying to remove characters from an index in a particular list. It's similar to this, so let's just use the same file, save as, open file, new file. We're going to copy the old code so that it's going to be desktop, so it's going to be faster for us. Yeah, character remover is removing, so we're going to say car remover. It's similar to the old code, so we're going to copy it. Let's put Python. I see. So save car remover. So this program collects a, a, a stream of text from the user and removes a particular character specified. So specified by the user. All right, by the user. And now we have, let's now copy whatever we had. In this case, we can copy, let's see, character remover. Let's copy this, open with notepad plus plus. All right, so let's copy this, copy, and let's close. Now let's paste it in our Visual Studio Code. Now, all right, it's similar because we just need to know the indices and we remove the characters. So it's still our same old code, and we found the original text and we found all this stuff. And let's say we want to remove the old character. So in this case, we don't need a new character. It's just remove the character specified. So we don't need new car. We just need to ask the user, we enter the character you would like to remove, and remove. So the user specifies the character he or she wants to remove, and we move on by removing that character as the user specifies. So how do we remove the character? Yes, we need to have a new code each time. So we go indices. This gives me more time to explain this. Indices equals to 0. We want to get the indices of the character, our target character. Let me show you how it's done. So indices. All right. So yeah. All right, so let's see this specified by the user. This, oh, let's cancel this stuff. All right, so our program is not telling a lie. Okay, removes a particular character specified by the user. Full stop. So now we go through, starting from count 0, we are going to go through each character in the list. That's for ch in quote. The for loop goes through every single character. So let's say, for example, we have a text like this program. The for loop is going to go through t, h, I, s. The first iteration is going to be in t, and we are also tracking the index starting from 0. The second iteration, by the second iteration, we have incremented index by, count by 1. So we know we are at position 1, and so on and so forth. So if we are the 20th index, our count value here is going to be 20. So we can use the count value to immediately to use the index operator to extract whatever text we are interested in. But here we are just interested in the indices that match the old car the user wants to delete. So once we find that index, once we find that ch is equal, because ch will take the value t, h, I, s, p, and so on. Space is also part. It takes the value subsequently for each iteration. So once we find ch has taken any of the value old car, that's the value the user wants to remove, we save count because we are trying to save the index so that later on we can use that index. So by the end of this indices, we'll have all the index collecting the containing, we'll have the indexes of everywhere within the string that has the target character the user wants to delete. So in this case, what we're going to do now is we're now going to go through these indices. You saw the first time we're going through quotes because all of them are iterable, so the for loop can go through all of them. So now we're going through quotes. So we take quotes, and for each quote we are also tracking the index so that when we need to use the index operator, we can just use this value. So we're also tracking the index. So we say if count in business, so we're checking if count in indices. Anytime we going through as it's going through the items, once we found count reaches an index that is part count in indices, you can use int to check if the value is in a list. For example, if you have a list called L equals to, here is how you can use the console to just check out things. 6 and 7, for example, you can say 5 in L, 3 in L gives me false because 3 is not in the list. But if I say 6 in L, it gives me true. So the if statement takes, if this statement equates to 3 true, the body of the if statement will be executed. The body of the for statement, or let's say if this statement executes to true, the body of the if statement, which is this statement, will be executed. So if at any time count is within our interested indices or indexes, we can now extract. So we're going to extract now. For example, let's say our target is C. We want to extract from here to this index, and we are going to ignore this index and then continue extracting from here, and then we append the strings together. So we're going to say new quote 0 plus, we're going to ignore this index and now continue from new quote count plus 1. So we jumped this. If our target is, for example, this, we extracted from here to here, we jump here and continue extracting from here. So that's what we are basically doing here. It's good to go through the videos on strings if you want to really understand this code, because in the video I actually explained all this indices stuff. If you are not familiar with indices, or if you haven't really gone through those videos to understand them perfectly, you won't be able to make it like understand what I'm actually doing here, even though it's quite simple, but it may look a little bit complex to you if you haven't gone through the videos. That's why I actually take time to make those videos so you can properly understand what's going on, So as you can see from here, we have extracted the first up to the interested character, and we actually deleted it by just moving over it and then creating. So every time we are replacing our old and we are ignoring the target indices, at the end of the day, our new string is not going to contain any of the target characters. Let's try this code. I think we are ready to go. So let's run the code. Let's see. All right, it's good. We're good to go. So it says enter original text. I'm going to steal some text from here, um just of the water. So let's take some text from here. We can make this up of the water. Now the first thing I want to do, let's try to remove space from this text. All right, enter character. I'm going to use space. It's going to write just take my looks like we made some mistake. It will take just take all right, remove space. Just take my hand lead. Oh, let's see what's happening. It removed some space but didn't remove some space, so we're gonna check what happened right now. Let's see if we can modify our code or if it's just a slight error. So let's see codes, old codes. Yeah, so I said new code equals to new code 0 count, appended count if equals to ch equals to old car. Yes, I am appended. All right, so let me try to run it with something for myself. Okay, I love how it does these things all the time. Enter character. I want to remove space. I this space was removed. Love how okay. So here is a very complicated stuff we need to work with right now. Quite complicated. Each time we remove, see what happens. It's very good to note. Each time we remove a character from the string, the length of the string reduces by 1. Take note. Do you understand? The length reduces by 1. It's very important to know that because if, for example, you remove P, this length is going to reduce by 1, which means these indices that we store are going to be off by 1 at each time. So we have to track each removal we do. So we're going to say off by count. Initially, it's 0. Each time we remove 1, we need to increment off by count by 1. So we're going to say off by count plus equal to 1. Now, what we want to do is once we find count, once we find an index, we must subtract it from off by count. So we say the index should be equals to count minus off by count. Very important. You may not really understand, but it's very important. So now initially it's going to be 0, so it's not going to have an effect for the first iteration. So let's say this off by count, and you're gonna say off by count index plus 1, index plus 1, and index. So we have our new index. Now let's try to see whether it's gonna run now. It's not easy. Yeah, it's not easy. You have to be wise to do some of these things. Coding sometimes you have to. So let's look at it. So let's copy this and let's run our stuff. So let's see the water. I want to remove space. Perfect. It works perfectly. So next time let's try it again. I want to remove I. It worked perfectly. So we can clap for ourselves. We did a great job, especially with the off by count to track the deductions. All right, so let's move to the next exercise, which is email separator. So take for example, we want to separate our emails into .com, .fr, and .gmail. Our boss gives us a list of stuff. Remember this, what we're going to work on. Let's cancel this first. Now let's cancel this and let's create a new, don't save, let's create a new file called email separator. Let's save it. Now save it in our desktop. and its name is called email separator. All right, so we make it to be dot py by typing p and then scrolling down to Python. Right, so it's on our desktop now. Email separator, look what it does. Now we start with the comment. This program separates a bunch of emails into dot fr comma dot into okay at fr.com into yes okay fr.com comma yahoo.com and gmail.com domains. All right, so our bot gives us a list of emails. It can be coming from a database, but we haven't learned all that yet, so we're gonna just use a list. But you can come from a file, you can come from a database, wherever. But we have a bunch of emails. Our boss tells us we want you to separate these emails. These emails are coming from 3 different domains. There may be more than 3. We can use regular expressions and all, but for now let's focus on the 3: fr, yahoo, and this stuff. So you have fr, yahoo, and .com. All right, so let's see now what happens. Now our boss tells us, well, we need to separate these emails. Okay, we say, all right, so he tells us you need to put them in 3 different lists or save them in a file. But for now, we're going to put them in 3 different lists. The first one is fr list, the second one is yahoo list. So we're going to separate them into fr list. It's an empty list, and we have yahoo list, yahoo list. It's an empty list, and we have gmail list, an empty list. So yeah, now what do? Let's look for the data. I had some data, so we don't waste a lot of time. I prepared some data for us. So here is some data. It's a list of emails. Copy, and we have emails. Emails equals to a list of emails. They look so funny. Oh, I didn't put them as strings, so I need to do that. So difficult right now. Like, can take a lot of time because there are 20 of them. In fact, I'm going to use a shortcut. All right. So, all right. So I just want to make sure we're on the right track. All right, we now have a bunch of emails. So you can see all these emails. All right, we're good to go. So we're just going to go directly to our program. All right, so our program is going to go through the emails, and we are going to use the string ends with method. We can use other methods like checking the last 3 index, but you may not want to do that because um, you have um, you have to look for at Yahoo is longer than at FR, so we're gonna just be using the ends with function. So let's get directly to the so it's very simple, very simple. This is one of the simplest program you're ever gonna write. So it's just for email in emails. You're just gonna do this. If it just has a bunch of if else statements, we're gonna learn that later. If emails we can use list comprehension too. We're going to see that when we learn list comprehension. If email dot ends with um, at yahoo at fr.com, we want to put it here. Fr list dot append email elif the same stuff. So we're just going to be copying stuff down here, and our last one is else. So we're just going to be copying this stuff down here. I'm going to correct the stuffs When you copy, always try to. All right. So if emails now dot ends with at, we don't even need the at because at is common to every stuff, so we don't need at. It ends with yahoo.com. Append Yahoo list. Ah, now the last one is Gmail list. We want to append what there? Email. So email. All right. So let's check else. If it's, or let's just check elif again. Elif else. Or we should be sure. Let's be really sure it's elif. Let's use elif to be sure, because we may have an email there which does not even end with any of these three. Just to be careful, we actually have Gmail. All right, so it's okay. Okay, if so, in this case we don't have an else stuff, except we had something like others is equals to, but I don't think we have any others because I think I wrote it correctly. In this case, we can just write else others dot append email. All right, now in this case, let's just print some important information to the user. Print, uh, let's say dot fr list is something slash n dot yahoo list is something slash n. That's new line. Slash n means new line. And dot, okay, sorry, at fr list at yahoo list and at gmail list is something. Now those somethings, we have to replace them now using the dot format function of the string method of the string object. So we're going to write fr list comma yahoo list and gmail list. So there we go. Now let's try this. Let's see how this works. Run. All right, it's perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect. So you can see it's perfect. So now let me clear this so you can see again. Let's run it. Um, you see fr list, we have only stores from fr.com, fr.com. At yahoo list, we have Michael at this thing, only yahoo.com, yahoo.com. And at gmail list, you can see we have only stuff that end with at gmail, and at gmail. So we did it. We can clap for ourselves and move to the next exercise. So what's the next exercise? The next exercise is, let's check. The next exercise should be the even or odd number separator. It's also similar to this. So we're going to wipe this and we're going to wipe it, and we're going to, or let me save it first. Yeah, and we're going to wipe it and we're going to cancel this. Don't save. Don't save. Don't save. All right, so now let's create a new file. New file, new file. It's still a Python. We call it and control S. Let's call it even odd number separator. So we're gonna use Python P, and we find Python like here, and now we go to save. I think it's on our desktop, right? All right. So now saving, we're just gonna write this program. It can be, these items may be from a database or from a file, but we're just going to separate the numbers into even and odd, and we are not going to have repetitions. Take note of that. This program separates a bunch of numbers between out without any duplicates. Perfect. So look what happens in this case now. Very simple program, but it's good to look how we're doing it. All right, so now we're gonna have a list from the user, but we're gonna separate it into even. We want an even list, and we also want an odd list. Odd, even. Let's just call it even items or even numbers, and let's call this list odd numbers. Now, where was our input? I generated an input for us. So let's get to where I generated an input for us. Yes, just so we don't waste a lot of time. Here's an input I generated for us. Okay, so we're gonna be writing it directly. So yeah, so we have let's call these numbers equals to, okay, so we have a bunch of numbers, and we just, it can be it can be millions of numbers. You may be finding out what's the importance of this may be millions of numbers, whatever, or some stuff, and we are trying to separate them into different categories. Of course, you can't use your hand, so you need a programmer to do it for you. This can be some data you collected and you want to do some analysis with it, but first you need to separate them to even and odd numbers to do certain analysis. So you should see how Python makes life very easy for you as an individual in any field you are in. So in this case now we can simply say this is a number, so we can simply go through our item for let's say n in numbers. Now we are iterating through the whole number list, and while iterating using the for loop, it's always good to keep an index, track of the index, by using index something like this, index equals to 0, and for each iteration you can increment index by 1. Please, you can check Python numbers to see how to operate with numbers. We have done a video on Python numbers. You learn how to do most of this. Very important video. You learn how numbers are presented in Python. So you can check it. I think it's going to appear on the top right side of the screen. So I speak a little bit faster so the video will not be too long, because coding itself is a very long stuff. So we need to be faster. All right. So index plus equals to 1. You must always do it to make sure you're moving along, because as you're moving, you need to be counting the index so you can actually pick out a particular index. So in this case, we might not need the index in this program because we'll be extracting it immediately. So let's see, yeah, we don't need the index here in this program, but you saw in the previous programs we actually needed the index at some point. So now we don't need the index because we are going to be extracting the numbers with n. For n in numbers, every time n is going to be 2, 4, 50, and all those stuff, and we just need to test if n is even, if n modulus 2, we know that module, if you divide something by 2, if n is even and you divide it by 2, you have no remainder. But if it's odd and you divide it by 2, you have a remainder. So we say if n mod 2 has no remainder, which means it equals to 0, we just do what we do. This modulo sign percentage, we append it to even numbers dot append, we append n, and else, simple program, else we append it to odd number, odd odd numbers, because it's either or in this case, either or. Append it to append n. So in this case, very easy. You see, you can now print a good message to the user. Print, and we can say odd numbers, numbers something, and we go to the new line, and we can say even numbers, it's something. And in this case, we can fill those something using the format method. The first something is what? The first placeholder, second placeholder. We can say the first placeholder is even. Oh, sorry, we started with odd, so let's use odd. It's odd to start with odd, even, odd numbers and even numbers. So perfect. Our code should run perfectly. So get it. So odd numbers 45 and all this stuff, and even numbers 246. Now we have to do the last part of the program, which actually makes sure the number does not exist in the list, because in this case, you see, we have 2 and we have 2. I think we have 2, we have 4 and we have 4. we should have we have 9 and we have 9. We don't want this duplication, so it's easy. Before appending, we first check if n not in. We learn this. You can check this. We're going to learn this when we look at the let's say when we look at the different operators in membership operator. Yeah, the membership operator in Python. We are going to look at not in and in. If n not in even numbers, that's when we can now add it. So it's always important to do this. Let's not just add it immediately. So in this case we are going to check if n not in odd numbers then we can now add it. So we don't want duplications in our stuff. All right, so now let's run this and I think we're good to go. So you see 49, no repetitions anymore. So I think our code is perfect. We can try it again by using this, and let's try it again. All right, perfect code. So we can clap for ourselves, and I think this should be the end of this video. We have looked at character replacer, character remover, email separator, and we also look at even or odd number separator. All right, so see you in the next video where we're going to be talking about tuples. All right, have a nice time and see you later.